Happy New Day, Facebook. Happy New Day, Instagram. And hey, YouTube. It's Sabrina J. Lewis coming at you live from Brooklyn. I'm coming here today so that I can read to you all Humble Consulting, how to provide real help faster. Many of us are transitioning and adjusting to new life. We're adjusting to new life situations and circumstances. And I'm just going based off of my own personal experiences. Sometimes we don't know what to say. Sometimes we don't know how to say a happy new day. Hey, sensei. And so I said that I would be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I think my sign says Monday to Friday to read to us all how to provide help, real help faster. Humble Consulting by Edgar H. Schien. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. I would like to read the preface. Um, so let's go ahead and get started. I like to read the preface because we need to understand the author's thoughts. We need to understand why, like what made him or her want to write this book. So the preface says this book brings together various insights and ideas I have acquired over 50 years of research, teaching, and consulting, and at the same time reflects how the kinds of problems that organizations face in our rapidly changing world have forced the evolution of those ideas. Another reason why I'm reading this book too is when I worked in a hospital, I realized that there's a sense of hierarchy. Many of us are entrepreneurs inside the work system, and we have to each learn how to communicate with each other more effectively because not everyone is just coming out of college. And so this is necessary for end time, whether it's your corporation, organization, business, whether you're a sole proprietor, or whatever you got going on, this will help you, hopefully. Okay. So he says he's acquired these ideas over 50 years of research, teaching, and consulting, and at the same time reflects how the kinds of problems that organizations face in our rapidly changing world have forced the evolution of those ideas. As I began my career as a human relations trainer and part-time consultant in the 1960s, I evolved the model of process consultation. Introduced in my books, Process Consultation, 1969. The Process Consultation Revisited, 1999, which emphasizes the need to involve the client in the process of figuring out what is wrong and what can be done about it. After several decades of working with this motto and updating the book, I began to realize that the model we were using for organization and management consulting really had broader applications to all kinds of helping relationships, resulting in the 2009 book Helping. So just so you all know, before my mother transitioned last year, January, I was doing a book read. Every year I do book reads each month, right? I used to do it in my women's group, but I said, you know what? Everybody needs this information. So let me just go live. Last year, this time I was reading a book called Helping, which was the first book. And I learned in that book that just because you're coming to help someone doesn't mean that they want what you have to offer, or it doesn't mean that your help will actually help them. And so we can't help people who really don't want to be helped. So I want to help all my caretakers and caregivers and everybody out there who has a service or product helping people. Just because you know it works does not mean that it will actually help a person who does not want to be helped or who's not ready to receive your help. So this book I saw online, and it was Humble Consulting. There's another one, Humble Leadership. I have that as well. But we have to learn how to communicate more effectively to people. And so analyzing the helping process from a sociological point of view revealed how much our cultural norms influence what we thought should be both the client's role and the consultant's role in the helping process. In my own experience as a helper, it seemed crucial that the client really be able to tell what is bothering him or her and be able to open and trusting in doing so. I then discovered that the major inhibiting factor to clients being open and trusting is the cultural force in the United States, and we know that to be true, toward telling as being the heroic model, which led helping and consulting models to be structured in terms of the formal professional stages of diagnose and then tell as recommendations. My management consulting friends told me that this is required if you are really doing your job. Which to my dismay, I have found many clients passively believe. I recognize that was the obsession with telling a broader characteristic of the US managerial culture, which led me to write the book Humble Inquiry 2013 to point out how much potential harm was being done in the market in making subordinates feel psychologically unsafe in upward reporting if they saw safety or quality issues in how work was getting done. So he's talking specifically right now about organizational leadership or organizational management, right? How uncomfortable it could be sometimes working with your subordinates, um, and not wanting to create harm, right? So, us learning how to speak up and speak appropriately will help us in the workplace. He says, in my own consulting efforts, I found that telling did not work. And furthermore, the clients who called me in for consultation often had previously experienced for the formal approach. No, wait. He said, often had previously experienced the formal approach with other consultants and did not find the diagnose and then recommended approach terribly helpful, right? It's like you at work. You're not going to be comfortable telling a boss about another person if that person has a relationship with that person, right? I mean, like let's be real. We see it in systems all across the board. We see it everywhere. I don't want to single people out because I don't want anybody to feel any particular way, right? So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I'm having this conversation with you all. Majid, happy new day to you. I don't speak that language, unfortunately. I wish I had Google Translation right now so I could see what you're saying to me. But thank you for being here. We're reading the book Humble Consultation by Mr. Edgar Schien. So, as I continue, he says, at the same time, the problems that confronted leaders and managers became more complex to diagnose and even more difficult to fix. I also learned through several experiences that will be discussed in cases in this book that sometimes just the earliest questions, comments, and puzzlements that I expressed in the initial contracts with the client proved to be very helpful in enabling the client to perceive and think about the situation. This often led to immediate next moves that the client could think of that were seen by both helper and client as immediately beneficial. All this led me to go beyond the previous models and write about what I experienced. Real help can be fast, but it requires open, trusting relationship with the client and the helper. And the helper has to build from the very beginning because of the difficulty and complexity of the problems, and because the client's own view of what is going on is so important in a relationship. This also requires a great deal of humility in the consultant, right? So, in this book, the author says, I will describe the new kinds of problems, the new consultant client relationship that will have to be built, and the new kinds of attitudes and behaviors that consultants will have to learn in order to be really helpful. I think of this as an evolution in my thinking. Many of the ideas have been implicit in the earlier works, but they are only now coming into consciousness, both as insights and as new principles of what has to happen if we really want to help on complex, dynamic, messy problems. And if we want to do it fast, because in many cases, clients need to do something adaptive right away. All right. So, where does this fit into a larger historical context? Humble consulting draws on elements of many prior models that deal with complexity, interdependence, diversity, and instability. Almost every theory of helping refers to the concept of relationship, but few of them talk about levels of relationship and what is involved in negotiating them. One exception is Otto Scharmer's Theory U, 2007, in which he explicitly differentiates levels of conversation in his analysis of how to reach the deepest level within ourselves and in our relationships to find the true sources of innovation. The theories and models are the most relevant to understanding these kinds of problems and developing workable next moves were initially best articulated in the study of highly reliable organizations by Carl Wake with his conceptions of losing coupling, sense making, embracing error, and resilience. Wake and Sutcliffe, 2007, on the socio-psychological, let me say that right. On the sociological side, I have always found Irving Goffman's oh my gosh, analysis of interaction and situational proprieties to be an essential model for understanding how relationships are formed, maintained, and repaired when damaged. Okay? Let me underline that. How relationships are formed, maintained, and repaired when damaged. Right? Closely related are the systemic models of organizational learning and family therapy. The work on mindfulness is crucial in what I see to be the new skills that will be needed. The change programs that rely on so called lean methods based on the work of Deming and Duran that evolved into the Toyota production system are relevant if they are well executed and involve the employees who actually do the work. Again, you all, we are reading Humble Consulting by Edgar Schien. We're learning how to provide real help faster. Okay. He said the Toyota production system are relevant if they are well executed and involve the employees who actually do the work. Open socio-technical systems approaches to problem identification and solution as evolved by the Tavistock Clinic have provided much more helpful ideas than standardized methods of measurement, analysis, and problem solving. We're talking about organizations, corporations, and anything else you can think of where it talks about helping. Perhaps most relevant of all is the Bush and Marshak, 2005, have identified in the last decades as dialogic organization development, as contrasted with diagnostic organization development, in highlighting what leadership theorists like Heifetz also emphasize that the complex problems of today are not technical ones that can be solved with specific tools. The best we can do is to find workable responses, or what I am calling adaptive moves. This will improve new kinds of conversations of more dialogic, open-ended variety. The emphasis of the concept of moves is important in this context because it implies action without necessarily having a plan or a solution in mind. In the end, I will fall back on much of my learning in running sensitivity training groups in human relations labs for the National Training Labs in Bethel, Maine, where the key operational concept was spirit of inquiry and accepting that we did not always know where our learning process would take us. That's Schien and Bennett's 1965. Building a relationship that enables a client to learn how to learn was then and becomes now more than ever one of the crucial goals in Humble Consulting. So, I have my pen and I have my highlighter because I'm going to have my own organization and corporation one day. My goal is to build hospitals of wellness. And in order to do that, I need to learn properly what is needed and how to provide what is needed faster. And so I'm reading this book out loud because I know that it will help all of you who will tune in. The spirit of inquiry is best exemplified nowadays in the concept of dialogue, as propounded by Bill Isaacs, 1999, in the Barrett's hugely insightful book, Yes to the Mess. That sounds like an interesting read, which shows us brilliantly how the skills of improvisation as exhibited in the jazz combo, provides some of the most important clues as to what helpers and leaders will have to be able to do in the future. How this book is organized. Chapter 1 lays out how the basic problem, the complex, messy problems of today in the future require a new model of helping, coaching, and or components of the model of humble consulting. The following chapters then explain how wait. The following chapters then explain and exemplify each of these components. Okay, I have to use my highlighter so I don't get lost. Chapter 3 explains the concept of the level 2 relationship. Chapter 4 shows how that relationship has to be built from the moment of first contact with the client by adapting a certain attitude that hinges on maximizing curiosity. I don't know why we're freezing up over here on Instagram, but I hope you're still with me. Chapter 5 explores the whole concept of personalization as key to the new consultation model or consulting model. Okay, chapter 6 highlights that the consulting is almost always more helpful in the processes that occur between client and consultant as they explore how to make adaptive moves. Chapter 7 then explores the concept of adaptive moves in more detail and in terms of innovations that are required to make them helpful. This book closes with some conclusions and challenges for the future. All right. It's 8:46. I said I would be on here for no more than 30 minutes. That was the preface, and we're going to go ahead and dive into humble consulting. I'm going to attempt to get through chapter 1. All right. Here we go. 1, I am the consultant and I don't know what to do. Actually, I think what I would do is, I can't see my calendar. I think what I would do is come back on Wednesday, right? And begin fresh for February 1st. And I will start the actual read on February 1st. I just wanted to come live today to let you all know what humble consulting was all about, why the author chose to write this book, and how we can provide real help quicker. So I'm going to read what the back says, and then I'm going to bring this particular video to a close. The Humble Leadership Series, Consulting in Complex and Changing Times. Organizations face challenges today that are too messy and complicated for consultants to simply play doctor, run a few tests, offer a neat diagnosis of the problem, and recommend a solution. Edgar Schien argues that consultants have to jettison the old idea of professional distance and to work with their clients in a more personal way, emphasizing authentic openness, curiosity, and humility. Schien draws deeply on his own decades of experience, offering over 24 case studies that illuminate each stage of this humble consulting process. Just as he did in process consultation nearly 50 years ago, Schien has once again revolutionized the field, enabling consultants to be more genuinely helpful and vastly more effective. So Peter Block, the author of Flawless Consulting and Stewardship, says, a fine blend of poetic writing and practical methodology. It is an intimate conversation about how service, in this case consulting, works in the real world. All who want a deeper understanding of the way to create relationships that produce outcomes will value this book. To simply recommend it is an understatement. All right. There are others who say this is the first book I now recommend to consultings young and old, for without humility, a stands wide open, a state of not knowing and totally vulnerable and present. You cannot do this work. The message, make humility your greatest strength and never lose it. Ed Schien takes the principles of humble consulting or humble inquiry and beautifully extends them to the consulting process in this book. Every consultant should read this for insights into how we should deal with our doubts, questions, and anxieties. This is another major contribution to our work and our field from Dr. Schien. Edgar Schien is the Society of Sloan Fellows Professor of Management Emeritus at the MIT Sloan School of Management. He is the author of numerous best-selling books, including the recent Humble Inquiry. All right, so again, we are here so that we can all learn how to provide real help faster. My plan is to be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if not every day, between 8:30 and 9 a.m. to read this book. The time now is 8:50. I'm going to end early because I'm going to start fresh on Wednesday. I'm going to start fresh on Wednesday. I think I'll change the flyer. I'll start fresh on Wednesday, February 1st, chapter 1, on I am the consultant and I don't know what to do. All right, that's my time. Blessings and love world. Love life well. Do something to make you happy today and show up for your life. Bye for now. See you later. Thank you for joining Instagram. Bye for now. Thank you for joining Facebook. Bye for now. Thank you for joining.